Well, hello and welcome back to the channel. So it is update time on the Giordano Trieste. Trieste? I'm just going to keep coming up with new ways of saying the name of the bike because I don't know. So anyway, last video, if you watched that, and if you didn't, please go back and spend a few minutes and looking through my previous videos on this bike. But I mentioned that that might be the last video I do on the bike because I was like, I'm not really going to do anything else with it other than ride around on it and maybe tinker with a little bit more. So here's where we're at on this bike. I rode this thing last week and went up a really steep hill on it, and I just did not have the leverage I wanted on those handlebars to really like crank up that hill. And this is like a 16 degree slope on the hill, so really steep. And so I started looking around for some wider handlebars, especially something with a little bit more of a gravel style bend, and came up with these. These are Easton AX50s, just kind of a basic alloy gravel bar, nothing fancy, but nice little flare. They're 46 centimeters center to center, like way up here, a little bit wider if you get down closer to where the hoods on the shift levers are going to be once they're mounted up. And God, it's like 54 centimeters center to center all the way down at the flared ends of the bar. Stock handlebars are 44 centimeters center to center here, and then basically same out here on the ends of the drops. So that is the main thing I wanted to achieve. The other complaint I have about this bike, the brakes are terrible. On that same ride going back down the hill, it was all I could do, like, oh, there's my finger, sorry, like just grabbing as hard as I could on that brake lever just to hold my speed back. And I started down the hill very slow, not knowing whether or not I'd be able to hold my speed back on that hill, and it barely did. So that is no good. One thing I'm gonna try first, make a noise over here, is some, and this doesn't look all that impressive, but Jaguar, it's the KEBSL. This is the compressionless linear housing. So don't know if that's focusing in very well. Let's zoom you in a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So basically, yeah, there you go. So you can see the strands are sticking straight out of the housing. And typically brake housing has the spiral wound inner strands, which ends up flexing, and you have less efficient cable pull through your brake line housing on the other style of brake cable housing. This is a lot better stuff. That is what I put on. It's a different color, but it's the exact same stuff. It's not focusing, but same stuff, just lime green on my GT Street Performer. Made a huge difference in the responsiveness of the brakes. So I'm gonna try that first and see if that will help me out a little bit. And you can kind of see possibly, yeah, through the outer vinyl coating those strands. And this is probably pretty cheap brake housing. So we're getting rid of that and we're going to the nicer stuff. Let's see if that makes my brakes any better. And like I said, we're gonna swap the handlebars on there. So I'm not gonna film any of this stuff because I gotta work on the bike and I'm filming with my phone, so just not gonna do it. I'll just pop in, show you some updates if there's anything of interest. Also, installed a couple of just plastic side loading water bottle cages. I got these very inexpensive, like a couple dollars a piece from Performance Bike. They're house brand Forte, just plastic cages. Not great, not terrible, but cheap. And that's what I want on this bike. I want everything to be as inexpensive as possible. I may have mentioned in the short video I did leading up to this video what I paid for this. I got this at CambriaBike.com. I will link this in the description if they're still available. They had them for $20, and then they wanted $7 for shipping. So $27, but they had a 10% coupon, so $2 back on the price of the bar. Cost me $25 shipped to my door for a brand new, decent gravel handlebar. It's got the lines here, so I can get the shifters mounted up evenly left and right. So that's going to be pretty nice. So I'm going to get to cranking on this, and I mean, for you, it'll just be cutting right back to some updates. I may or may not finish this tonight. We'll see. So there you go. Okay, so here I'm peeling the old handlebar tape off. And this stuff, I did like the texture on it. It feels pretty good. It's pretty thin. And my God, I hate adhesive-backed handlebar tape because it's such a mess coming off of here. I don't have to reuse this bar, so I'm not going to be super concerned with getting all the adhesive residue off of there, at least right now. But if you're just re-wrapping a handlebar and putting it on the same handlebar, I hate this stuff because you gotta clean it up. So let me show you what handlebar tape I went with. Super Kaz. Look at that shimmery, iridescent, holographic looking box. Ain't that fancy? Super sticky Kush. Sounds like a drug reference. Probably is. But anyway, I'm not into that stuff. That's okay if you are, but I bought this. A couple reasons. It was cheap for me. I had a $20 gift certificate to one of the bike shops in a nearby town. And pulling this out so you can see. So this is like the gunmetal, and it's got their kind of snowflakey, whatever their logo is. And it's a polyurethane kind of tacky type stuff. And it's supposed to be extra long to have plenty of stuff to wrap a wide gravel bar. So there we go. That's what I put on there. But I had a $20 gift card, so there you go. $40. Paid $20 for it because it basically got half off. But got this from Meadow Johnny's Bike Shop in Austin, Texas. Pretty nice little shop right downtown. That's I think at least part owned by Lance Armstrong. Uh-oh, license plates. Can't show those because you'll track me down. These are actually just random license plates that I have collected for hanging up, and they're duplicates of states I already had. And I still need a lot more states. So zoom in and kind of see what I got. So, all right, 2 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I got 22. So I still need a few more. But hey, if you got some motorcycle license plates, just throwing this out there. And I'll show you what I got over here. Well, this is a diversion from the video. It's ADD as heck, ain't it? Which, yeah, I do have. Illinois, Wisconsin, Missouri, New Jersey, Virginia, Florida, North Carolina, Kentucky, Alabama, Indiana, Pennsylvania, California, Nevada, Washington, Arizona, Hawaii, favorite one, Texas, New Mexico, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Alaska. So that's what I've got. If you've got other plates and you want to send me some plates, yeah, I'll take those from you. I don't mind. I used to have, here's some more plates. These are old license plates from, that one's from 1963, and this one is hard to read, but I think that says 53. These were plates that my great-grandfather had on vehicles. Maybe the 63 was my grandfather's. I can't remember what my dad told me. But anywho, there you go. Ooh, that's some great camera work. Sorry about that. I'm all zoomed in now. And woohoo! There we go. So back to this. Going to finish unwrapping this and get everything torn off of there. Try to get it bolted up. And then we'll start working on the new brake lines. So that'll be next. All right, so I got my handlebars installed, and my new brake cable housing run to the brakes. So I have just done a quick little test ride up and down the street. And one thing, obviously, you cannot get this on film, but what I'm going to tell you is there's just an immediate difference in how solid the lever feels once you get past the free play in the caliper and you're actually into the pads biting in there. I mean, there's still some flex there. These are no doubt very inexpensive, very budget mechanical disc brakes. These are it's called the JAK Super Brake, and I haven't exactly figured out what it's kind of a clone of. I think it might be sort of similar to like a Hayes MX3 or MX4 mechanical disc. I mean, all these ball bearing mechanical disc brakes they work more or less the same way. Anyhow, much improved. Like riding up and down the street. Again, it's not gonna throw you over the handlebars. But first thing I noticed, just grabbing a handful of the rear brake going down my driveway, I locked the rear tire up. It wouldn't do that before. So yeah, right. Already I'm like, okay, this is an improvement. New pads, possibly something I may look into, but I think just based off of my initial impressions there, that's going to be a great little upgrade. I would highly recommend with anybody who has, whether it's on this bike or other, like the Ozark Trail Ridge, that's got a similar set of these, I think, JAK Super Brakes or any of those cheap mechanical disc brakes are going to benefit from having this linear compressionless brake housing. You're just going to get a lot more efficient cable pull. So more of your energy that you're putting into the brake lever is actually making it to the caliper for better braking. So there you go. It is getting late, so I'm going to shut down for the evening and wrap these handlebars tomorrow, because I could do it now, but I'm going to be just not caring that much, and I'm going to do it sloppy. So I want it to be nice and look nice, and I'm going to do it right. So come back tomorrow. For you, it'll just be a flick of the wrist, a snap of the finger, a tap of the toe, and I get goofy when I'm getting tired too. So there you go. See you in the morning or tomorrow or whenever it is. It doesn't matter. You're watching this whenever you're watching this. All right. It is the next morning, and I have already wrapped one side of my handlebars with this Super Kaz Super Sticky Cush tape. And yeah, it is so nice and tacky. So a couple things, and I'll show you on the other side since I haven't wrapped that might want to be aware of in general, and also if you have a bike with these micro shifts. These are the R8 shifter brake lever combos. So this looks pretty good. I did the figure 8 technique where you don't use the little small strip of tape that goes around the back there. I've got one tiny little piece right there, which is mostly covered by that. This tape I thought was the kind that doesn't have the adhesive on the back and is more just like the kind of silicone stuff, but that is adhesive, and you can see the peeling from those. So not my favorite thing, but it is what it is, and that's what I got. So wasn't as stretchy as I thought it would be, so I had to be very careful coming around. And when you start making these bends and stuff, not having it wrinkle up, but I think it looks pretty good. One thing, like I mentioned, you need to be aware of on these micro shifters is there is quite, you can see right in there, quite a big gap going. So you kind of have to, when you're wrapping these, you have to kind of get the tape underneath there, because if you go over the top, it's going to be real lumpy and funky looking. So that's the one thing that I wish this tape was a little bit stretchier, that you could really lay that in there. Probably wouldn't have had that little bit of a gap right there. But all in all, don't really see it too much. And I mean, stuff did. I'm not an expert handlebar wrapper, but you know, I basically overlapped it exactly halfway. So you've got, that's the line right there. It still looks, you know, kind of cohesive in spots. It's not perfect everywhere, but like every other thing seems to have like a nice, you know, kind of cohesive little snowflakey symbol, which is their emblem, as you can see right there. So yeah, not too bad. I'll get the other side wrapped and we'll get back to this thing and I'll show you what it looks like all finished up. All right, so let's wrap this up. Got to change the scenery. Just rode down to the little neighborhood park here. Nice lighting out here, I suppose. So there we go. There's the final wrap job on the handlebars. Get my shadow out of there. And see, these bars, they're very wide. I would like to have gotten the tape a little bit further over. Maybe it's about right there, because I just have part of this logo covered up, which there's no logo on this side there, but it just says tape, which it says taper wall underneath the whole thing, but yeah, tape. So there we go. No big deal. I don't really put my hands on the tops very much, and there's still enough room there for me to, you know, put both hands like so up there. Of course, I mostly ride on the hoods. So there you go. This is all wrapped up. I'm not super enthused about kind of how the cables route. I did these shift cables around the outside and to the opposite side, and then I cross them over underneath there, which works just fine. I thought that would be a more graceful way, instead of having the cables bending and then rubbing against the head tube. I've still got the little rubber protectors there to keep from rubbing the paint too much. But other than that, you know, it's not too bad. This housing is much stiffer than the original brake cable housing, and you can just tell that they put really cheap stuff on there from the factory, which is 99% of, well, maybe not quite that much, but a good portion of why these brakes are so terrible. Again, they're not great brakes to begin with, but with the really cheap brake cable housing, they just don't work worth a darn. And this makes a huge improvement. I think with some brake pads it would bite even just a little bit better, but for now I'm going to leave it alone because it's good enough. So let me know what y'all think. I think it's a pretty sharp looking bike. Obviously still a cheap bike. There's some details that I've outlined before that are kind of, you know, meh, like the way they do the rear dropouts, and the fork especially is very cheap looking down there. I don't love that, but yeah, for the price, can't really complain. So how much do I have tied up in this bike? Kind of added everything up in my head. So paid 25 bucks for the handlebar, 20 bucks for the handlebar tape, so there's $45, $20 for the cassette, so there's 65 total. Another $5 total for those bottle cages. Like I said, they were $2 and change a piece, so that was very cheap. So now we're up to $70, plus just some other random stuff like, gosh, what else? Chain stay protector. A lot of the stuff I already had on hand, so I'm not really going to count that. Oh, the brake cable housing. So how much does that cost? This stuff can be pretty expensive if you buy like a whole roll of it, or one of those brake cable kits. So if you buy the brake cable kit, which comes with cables, housing, all the little cable ends and ferrules and stuff, it's like 35-40 bucks for the whole bike. I just bought the brake cable housing from my buddy's bike shop, so yeah, I got hooked up on it. He just had a few feet long section left over from something else, and basically sold it to me for like $7 for the total thing. So let's just say $80 I've spent on this bike getting it to where it is today. So basically I paid $319 less the coupon, brought it down to $240, another $5 for the little Facebook share thing, so $235. So basically it just brings it back up to right around $320, which, given the improvements, I think is pretty worthwhile. Now again, if you're lucky enough to get one of these that has the Shimano drivetrain, you don't have to mess with the cassette like what I did and any of that stuff. So definitely would recommend, well, you can't really control which one you get, but if you get one of those, you're off to kind of a head start there with the drivetrain. And you know, if you want to swap the bars, you've got that to contend with. If you can do it yourself, you're going to save a lot of money, and I think that's what this bike is good for, is somebody that can tinker and work on bikes themselves. You're probably going to have a few challenges if you're very much a beginner, which the price point certainly does cater to somebody that might be getting into the sport. But take advantage of that assembly rebate that Mendham Bikes offers. I think that's a good program. And get yourself a cheap gravel bike, especially now that they've gone down even more. You can get them for $187.50 with the reduced price plus the coupon that should still be active. Hopefully, I'll keep an eye on that and put a note in the description if that changes, or these will end up selling out, I'm sure, for how cheap they are. So there you go. Thanks for watching. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm a bit under 600 right now, but that would allow me to monetize my videos. Not that I'm expecting to ever make any sort of income. I don't need that, but it just would be cool. So yeah, if you don't mind, click on that subscribe button just to help me out a little bit. Very much appreciate it. And y'all have a nice day and go ride your bikes.